The lost tomb of Osiris discovered? Scientists make an incredible revelation in Egypt. Have you ever imagined discovering a lost, ancient tomb, full of mysteries and secrets that have been kept for thousands of years? Well, this story begins with an unexpected discovery in the heart of Egypt, where archaeologists have unearthed something that could change everything we know about Egyptian mythology. Stay tuned, because today we're going to unravel one of the greatest enigmas in the history of ancient Egypt. If you love mysteries and love to be surprised, this video is for you. So leave your like and get ready, because what's coming will leave you speechless. Ancient Egypt. If you're just arriving at the channel, this civilization continues to fascinate the world for more than just reasons. Even after thousands of years, archaeologists continue to unearth secrets and make incredible discoveries about how these people lived, thought, and even dreamed. But before we dive into this story, we need to understand how it all began and why it's so important. Let's go back to 1871. That year, the Egyptian government decided to evacuate a small village that was close to an area with unexplored archaeological potential. During this relocation, something curious happened. Two local brothers, while trying to recover a lost goat from their herd, came across an unusual opening in a rock, and that's when the unexpected happened. Ironically, while the government was trying to protect the area from possible future invasions, these two brothers stumbled, almost by chance, on something extraordinary, an entrance that led to a true archaeological treasure. This simple search for a lost goat gave rise to one of the most fascinating stories in Egyptian archaeology, and that's exactly what we're going to explore today. The site that became known as the Necropolis of Chat, Abel Gurna, or simply the Gurna Necropolis, has a history that is as fascinating as it is controversial. Even before it was officially studied, the area was looted by the two brothers who discovered it. For a decade, they sold hundreds of archaeological items to profit from the treasure they found. Fortunately, many pieces were later recovered, allowing researchers to unlock some of the secrets of this impressive site. Within this vast structure, archaeologists found hieroglyphics that reveal stories from the rich Egyptian mythology. Among them, one representation caught their attention: the drawing of a place that, until recently, was considered only a legend, the tomb of Osiris. For those who are unfamiliar, Osiris is the Egyptian god of death and the afterlife, a symbolic equivalent to Hades from Greek mythology. His tomb, if it existed, would have had sacred significance and played a central role in the religious practices of ancient Egypt. Then came the big twist. In 2015, during an expedition led by Spanish Dr. Maria Alvarez Milagro Souza, archaeologists made a discovery that seems to materialize the legend. They found a tomb that perfectly aligns with the historical descriptions of the Gurna Necropolis. This discovery, located near the original necropolis, continues to fascinate experts, both for its historical importance and for the mystery surrounding it. The atmosphere of the place does not go unnoticed. Many describe it as somber, even macabre. Right at the entrance, an impressive sculpture of Osiris dominates the space, carved into a chapel. Below it, a staircase descends into the interior of the complex, whose appearance could easily be mistaken for that of a scene from a horror film. But the real impact lies in what comes next. In the first room, the walls feature carved demonic figures holding knives, as if guarding the space. The interior of the tomb is made up of several interconnected chambers, some located more than 15 meters underground. Archaeologists believe that these chambers were intended for rituals performed for special individuals, possibly seeking the divine protection of Osiris. There is also the possibility that a member of the nobility, or even a pharaoh, was buried there. Evidence suggests that the construction was commissioned by Pharaoh Seti I, who ruled around 2300 years before Christ, almost 3 millennia ago. Seti is also known to have ordered the construction of his own tomb in the famous Valley of the Kings, where other pharaohs, including Tutankhamun, rest. The legend of Osiris and his supposed tomb is still an open field of research. Curious, and scholars eagerly await new revelations. Meanwhile, ancient Egypt continues to surprise us with extraordinary discoveries. In 2021, for example, archaeologists found mummies with golden tongues, artifacts that according to the belief, allowed the dead to communicate with Osiris in the afterlife. Despite this, experts are still trying to understand how these items connect in a deeper way to Egyptian mythology. Another extraordinary highlight of these discoveries was a completely intact tomb, something extremely rare due to the constant action of looters over the centuries. The practice of looting tombs is almost as old as the tombs themselves, with records of gangs operating since the time of the pharaohs. Today, archaeological artifacts are worth veritable fortunes on the black market, fueling this illegal trade, even with the intensive protection of many historical sites. And now we want to know from you. Would you have the courage or desire to visit such ancient and mysterious places? They are absolutely fascinating, don't you think? I myself had the chance to see some of these incredible constructions, and I can assure you that they impress in every detail. If you are a fan of stories about ancient Egypt, share your opinion in the comments. It helps us to continue bringing content that intrigues and inspires. Now, diving deeper into mythology, the mystery of the sarcophagus of Osiris reflects one of the most intriguing aspects of the culture and spirituality of ancient Egypt. Osiris, one of the most revered gods, represented death, rebirth, and fertility. According to legend, he was murdered and dismembered by his brother Seth, who sought to take his throne. However, his wife Isis managed to gather the pieces of his body and restore him. This myth positions Osiris as the first being to go through the cycle of death and rebirth, making him the ruler of Duat, the realm of the dead, and an eternal symbol of regeneration. In 2015, archaeologists made a stunning discovery in Abydos, one of the oldest cities associated with the cult of Osiris. There, they found a structure dubbed the Tomb of Osiris, which includes a stone sarcophagus surrounded by water channels that represent the Nile River. The architecture of the site echoes the iconography of the Egyptian underworld and reinforces the idea that the space was not an ordinary tomb, but rather a center of religious rituals. The sarcophagus, strategically positioned in a central well surrounded by water, symbolizes the body of Osiris himself. The surrounding design suggests an eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Experts believe that the structure was used for initiation rituals, in which priests and worshippers participated in ceremonies designed to ensure Osiris's protection and the spiritual renewal of those involved. Despite this, the exact purpose of the sarcophagus and the rituals still intrigues researchers, as important details continue to be studied. What makes this discovery especially fascinating is the way it reveals the deep connection between the mythology of Osiris and spiritual transcendence. The construction reflects the centrality of the god in the Egyptian religious imagination, while also demonstrating the technological advancement and symbolic complexity of this ancient civilization. The idea of death and rebirth, materialized in the sarcophagus and its surroundings, encapsulates the essence of the cult of Osiris and the Egyptian view of the eternal cycle of existence. The discovery at Abydos not only adds an intriguing chapter to the history of ancient Egypt, but also illuminates aspects of its funerary and spiritual practices that are still poorly understood. Osiris, as always, is at the center of this narrative, representing renewal, fertility, and the promise of life after death, a legacy that continues to fascinate us thousands of years later. Ancient Egypt, a legacy of mystery and wisdom. Ancient Egypt is not only a fascinating civilization for its grandeur and majestic monuments that still stand the test of time, such as the pyramids and temples. The true fascination of this ancient civilization lies in its profound knowledge of life, death, and the cosmos. The Egyptians believed that life was a journey that went beyond physical death, and this is reflected in their complex funerary practices, such as embalming, ornate tombs, and rituals designed to ensure safe passage to the afterlife. In addition to being an empire of wealth and power, Egypt was a true center of esoteric wisdom, where priests mastered sciences such as astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. The worship of the gods was therefore more than a religious practice. It was a way of ensuring that cosmic order was maintained and that life flowed according to divine designs. This is where the central figure of Osiris comes in. The legend of Osiris is not just a story of tragedy and revenge, but a profound metaphor for the eternal cycle of nature, life, death, and rebirth. The mythology of his death, resurrection, and dominion over Duat, the realm of the dead, reflects the Egyptians' desire to transcend mortality and achieve an eternal existence. This myth was at the heart of their religious practice and is the key to understanding how they saw the purpose of life and death. In Abydos, where the cult of Osiris had its greatest expression, the discovery of the sarcophagus and this symbolic structure that dates back to the mythology of the god represents more than just an archaeological excavation. It offers us a window into the spirituality of the Egyptians, who believed that preserving the body and performing proper rituals could ensure spiritual renewal. The fact that this structure was found in a sacred place reinforces the idea that the Egyptians placed great importance on their gods, with Osiris at the forefront, not only as a god of death, but as a god who brought the promise of renewal and an endless cycle. Today, more than millennia later, archaeological discoveries such as Abydos and the tomb of Osiris continue to challenge us to understand not only ancient Egypt, but the very concept of immortality and human spirituality. These sites are not just artifacts from the past, but messages from the Egyptians to future generations, trying to teach us something about life, death, and eternity. New discoveries continue to uncover the secrets of ancient Egypt. While the history of ancient Egypt continues to fascinate, recent archaeological discoveries remind us of how this civilization still holds surprising secrets and unsolved mysteries. Let's take a look at some recent finds that have shed new light on Egyptian religious practice, especially the worship of Osiris. Mummies with golden tongues. In 2022, an extraordinary discovery was made in the ancient Egyptian city of Oxyrhynchus. Archaeologists unearthed mummies with a fascinating detail. Their mouths were adorned with tongues made of gold leaf. This discovery is not only impressive, but also extremely significant, as these golden tongues were seen as a guarantee that the dead could communicate with Osiris in the afterlife. Such artifacts reinforce the central Egyptian belief that communication with the gods, especially Osiris, was essential to ensuring a smooth passage to the afterlife. Rituals at Abydos. In Naur, 2012, archaeologists made an equally fascinating discovery at Abydos, one of the most important sites of the Osiris cult. During excavations, they found a cache of animal mummies, including dogs, cats, sheep, and goats, associated with religious rituals dedicated to the god of death and resurrection. These animals were likely sacrificed in religious rituals to ensure that Osiris would bless the dead and protect them on their spiritual journey. This find not only sheds light on Egyptian funerary practices, but also highlights the centrality of Osiris in everything the Egyptians did, especially in ceremonies involving the afterlife. Gold leaf in ancient tombs. More recently, in 2024, an incredible discovery was made in Egypt, more precisely at the funerary complex of Tel el-Dir, in the province of Damietta. Archaeologists unearthed gold leaf in tombs dating back thousands of years. These artifacts, in addition to being impressive for their material wealth, offer a glimpse into the complexity of the Egyptian spiritual beliefs. Gold associated with immortality played a key role in funerary practices, being used to ensure that the dead were accompanied by wealth and divine protection on their journey to the afterlife. The mystery continues. These finds are just a sample of what may yet be revealed about ancient Egypt. The cult of Osiris, in particular, remains one of the most fascinating areas of Egyptian archaeology. Each new discovery, whether in Abydos, Oxyrhynchus, or elsewhere in Egypt, adds a deeper layer to our understanding of the spiritual life of the Egyptians and how they prepared for the afterlife. As more tombs and artifacts are unearthed, we continue to discover that the history of ancient Egypt is far more complex and mysterious than we ever imagined. And before we finish, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of these fascinating stories about ancient Egypt and other incredible discoveries around the world. Share this video with your friends and leave your comments. We want to know what you think about all this. Your participation is super important so that we can continue bringing you more content that explores mysteries and secrets of history. A big hug, God bless you, and until next time.